Hey, the coalition will take us through the storm. Yeah, yeah. Stop corruption and destruction. Lead us to a place nice and warm. Who's gonna clean up all this mess? 23 years of endless stress. Moses,
take over this government.
You can hear it east, north, south, and west. People calling for the best.
Granger, we want you as president.
We say Granger is the man, Moses is the man, to bring a better future for this generation. For build better schools, better education, for bring back the reputation.
It has been an upsurge in violence against women and children in Guyana. It is widespread across racial, social, and economic lines. The law prohibits domestic violence and gives women the right to seek prompt protection. All our women need to know that they can be protected under the laws of Guyana. There is a widespread perception among victims that some law enforcement officers are corrupt and make cases of domestic violence go away. However, we know of cases where law enforcement officers do their best to enforce the law, and they should be complimented. I compliment them today and I say thank you. Unfortunately, when those in high offices, their children or their relatives are perpetrators and they are sentenced, the law enforcement officers who pass these sentences are given marching orders. We have had enough of this, and it is time for change. There are some barefaced acts of violence committed against women in this country. This includes psychological abuse, battery, murder, rape of women by their partners, and trafficking in persons. Of recent, there are many cases of rape which include children, teens, young adults, and even the elderly. The Attorney General, Mr. Anil Nandalal, was heard soliciting sexual favor for his uncle, wanting to make connection to a young lady who is a media reporter. How much more disgraceful can the PPPC official get? They expose themselves daily of their character to the wider society, locally and internationally. Just a few days ago, the Minister of Health, Berry made headlines when a recording of him calling the women's rights activist Miss Nagir, he called him, and I quote, an idiot. A little piece of the word that spelled S-H, you know the rest. Threatened to, and I quote, slap her, and I say, and you know the rest. Just for the fun of it. And to have her stripped by some of his women. Nagir was heard demanding state accountability for the local maternal mortality rate. Meanwhile, just hours after Berry apologized, he launched another attack, another verbal attack on her. These are the kind of characters that we have to deal with government officials of the PPPC. I want to ask you a question. Is there an acceptable number of our women who should die becoming a mother? I'm glad that you know the answer to that is no. 0. It will be a work in progress with the incoming APNU+AFC government. We will work towards 0 No mother, wherever in the world, no woman should die becoming a mother, especially in Guyana. Our women, our human resource is important and valuable to every family, every community, and our entire country. Sexual and domestic abuse is too high in our country. Do you know why? Because the former president is the number one. Despite numerous claims being circulated, he resorted to physical. He said, the former president Barrett said, and I quote, despite numerous claims being circulated, he never resorted to physical violence against his ex-wife. Is physical violence the only way of abuse? When former First Lady spoke out in 2009 about what she called high-tech domestic violence, she spoke about her fears and insecurity living in a country where her oppressor had his hand in every facet of the day-to-day functioning of the country. And she was afraid to speak up. It is time the APNU+AFC incoming government will work towards putting a commission of inquiry into the former First Lady domestic violence.
Ooh, hey, the coalition will take us through the storm, yeah. Stop corruption and destruction, lead us to a place nice and warm. Who's gonna clean up all this mess? 23 years of endless stress. Moses,
take over this government.
You can hear it east, north, south, and west. People calling for the best.
Granger, we want you as president.
Mr. Granger is the man, Moses is the man, to bring a better future for this generation. For build better schools, better education, for bring back the reputation. Yow.
He came from the ancient country of Bobis. He was born in Wim village on the Quarantine, a fishing village, a rice farming community. After an accelerated formal education, he became a teacher, then moved into journalism, and later became an attorney at law. More than 53 years of his life have been dedicated to public service. 18 of those years, he has dedicated himself to being a parliamentarian and has served in the ministerial capacity of the government. He brings the experience and credibility of having served under 4 presidents. He lives by a creed of integrity, is a champion for unity and change, and has a vision for a new Guyana. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the next prime ministerial candidate of Guyana, Mr. Moses Verasamy Nagamootoo. Please help me welcome him.
This election is to unite all Guyanese of all ethnicities. And therefore, I ask of you that you be tolerant even when you are provoked. We have to complete this for history, because never in history in the last 60 years have we attained the level of political maturity in our leaders that 6 political parties could come together and form a joint coalition and to enter this election on a common platform with a joint manifesto and a united leadership. We have presented to Guyana the best of Guyana's talent, the best of Guyana's intellect, the best of Guyana's experience, the best of Guyana's integrity in one powerful slate that is headed by David Granger, and of which I have the honor to be the prime ministerial candidate. Today, I have visited the Woodland Hospital, and I've seen my friend of a very long time back, a friend who worked with me as a journalist, whom I appointed as general manager of the Guyana Broadcasting Corporation, who read law with me at the University of Guyana and the University of the West Indies. He is hospitalized with a gunshot wound from a lone gunman when he went this morning to inspect his home in Eccles. His name is Fazal Aziz, a former magistrate. And I recall that David Granger and I met with Fazal Aziz on Thursday with a number of leaders of the Islamic community. We have to be careful that among us we don't have agent provocateurs who would turn in our rally into a sidekick, a side focus. They will try to do that to divert us and to create a diversion from the incident where a minister of government threatened to slap and strip a young woman. So we have to be careful. We have to police our own environment, our own surrounding, and we must demand of ourselves the highest level of discipline, the highest level of response to this national call to patriotic duty to bring about a revolution. And so, when Fazal Aziz met with us, with a group of leaders from the Muslim community, he was very articulate, as he has always been. He was very straightforward in expressing and voicing his concern about the level of corruption and crime in Guyana. And he committed himself to full support of this effort to bring change to Guyana. Unfortunately, a release was issued that did not reflect in entirety what transpired. And so the other side quickly capitalized on that to say we concocted a story that the Muslim community had endorsed our alliance. We have clarified that issue, and we can say that the Muslim community throughout Guyana, like the rest of the Guyanese people, are also victims of the oppression and discrimination that pass off for governance in Guyana. And they too, on May 11, will be exercising their ballot in accordance with their constitution, with their conscience, and in accordance with their own belief that better must come. A lone gunman firing a bullet into the stomach of Fazal Aziz is a story we would have heard many times before, because Aziz was not robbed, although he had money on him. And we now must question the motive of those who tried to use pressure on the members of the delegation that saw us, among whom was the mother-in-law of the Chatri Anil Nandlal. And so we will have the same type of pressure. We will have the same type of intimidation to scare members of the Muslim community from exercising their conscience in accordance with this duty to bring about a better Guyana. When Courtney Cromie Wing walked the street with the flag of Guyana, and he called for change of this regime and called on people to vote on elections day, he was exercising his duty as a citizen of Guyana, as he is supposed to do under the Constitution. But Courtney had with him a weapon that was more dangerous than an AK-47. He had a bullhorn, and they shot him in the back of the head, as only cowards can do. And we know we have many cowards in this country who have raped the treasury, who have destroyed our democracy, who have betrayed the dreams of our people, who discriminated against you, marginalized you, and they oppress you for a small, tiny elite, the cronies, their friends, who feed like leeches on the blood of our people. So when Cromie Wing was killed, it was not by chance that we said he was assassinated, that it was a political homicide or a political murder. And when I saw my friend fighting for his life in the hospital today, I cannot help thinking that someone would have tried to silence Fazal Aziz. So this revolution would be a revolution for those who are victims of this dictatorship. And therefore I ask of you not to be provoked. They will come after us. They will try to silence us. They will try to bribe some of us. They will try to drunk some of us. They will come among you and they will try to pay you for your ID cards. And you know that you are serious people, because this is a serious time. Martin Carter wrote many years ago in the 50s in one of his poems, "This is a dark time, my love." He wrote, "This is the dark time, my love. All around, brown beetles crawl, watching you sleep and aiming at your dreams." They're watching you sleep and they're aiming at your dreams for a just society, a dream for a better Guyana, a dream that, as Cromie Wing had said, better must come, and we must show that only the ballots can stop the bullets in Guyana. Tonight, because my friend was in the media, has been in the media, and I suppose when he recovers, he will continue to be in the media, because the media is about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, the right to speak up and speak out. I want to say that part of the battle we face before us is how to free the media, how to free the state media, because so long as the dictatorship controls the media, they will try to silence your voice. And when you're silenced, you'll be afraid. And that is what they're doing today, is to intimidate people because they know you have no voice. They control the state media and they lock out the opposition and they lock out independent voices. So today the revolution is not only to change government, the revolution is to change the media, to take back the people's media and to use it for your purposes. We have a plan that we will review all those television stations and radio stations that they have given to their friends, and we'll ensure that they are redistributed to those who deserve to have them and use them responsibly. We have a plan that the National Frequency Management Unit, which controls all the state media, electronic media, will be reorganized, and that we will have fairness in the distribution of media ownership in Guyana. So that we're asking the media, those journalists like Fazal Aziz, those broadcasters, that they must refuse to take the orders of their masters to insult our people, to spread lies and propaganda, and to contribute to the use of the state media funded by taxpayers for partisan political purposes. We must bring an end to the domination of our thoughts. We must bring an end to the domination of our voice. And as Brother Bob Marley said, we must free ourselves from mental slavery, because that is why they're able to oppress us.
Ooh, hey, the coalition will take us through the storm. Yeah, yeah. Stop corruption and destruction. Lead us to a place nice and warm. Who's gonna clean up all this mess? 23 years of endless stress. Moses,
Take over this government.
you can hear it east, north, south, and west. People calling for the best.
Granger, we want you as president.
Mr. Granger is the man, Moses is the man, to bring a better future for this generation. For build better schools, better education, for bring back the reputation. Yow, say.
Mr. David Arthur Granger, a journalist, historian, soldier, and political leader, David Arthur Granger has lived a life of service to Guyana. He went to school on the quarantine where he and young Moses were schoolmates. In uniform, he rose to the rank of brigadier and commander of the Guyana Defense Force. His work as an historian, editor, and publisher saw him chronicling the living history of our time. As a politician, his commitment to the creation of a government of national unity and making Guyana an education nation has distinguished him as a man of integrity, determination, and fortitude. David Granger now stands as a leader of this formidable movement that will bring much needed change to our beloved Guyana. Join me in welcoming our next president, Mr. David Arthur Granger.
Yeah, it's time, we voting change. I say it's time, we voting change. This year we voting change and we also voting for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny is the place to be. Put your X inside the box next to the palm and key. Everybody in the whole country shout out APNU+AFC. It's David Granger, Moses Nagamootoo. On election day, we electing you. Put your X in the box next to the palm and key. We voting change in the whole country.
You all want more PPP? You want more Phantom Squad? You want more torture? You want more road deaths? You want more murder? Well, vote for APNU+AFC. The PPP has to go. It has to go by day clean on the 12th of May. And let me tell you what you have to do. There is a government in this country. A government in this country led by President Donald Ramotar. Mr. Ramotar is a dictator. And we have to get rid of the dictators. You know why he's a dictator? Because we apply something in science. Y'all know science in Golden Grove? Well, here this bit of science. The science name, deduct test. You ever hear about deduct test? let me tell you this. If you sit down in your yard and you see a bird come in your yard, if it walk like a duck, if it quack like a duck, if it look like a duck, it's a duck. And if Donald Ramatar refused to send the bills, he's a dictator. If Donald Ramatar refused to hold local government elections, he's a dictator. If Donald Ramatar prevent the National Assembly from meeting for 9 months, he's a dictator. Donald Ramatar is a dictator. That's the long and short of this story. And no dictator must run this country. In November 2011, 175,000 of you voted for the APNU and the AFC, and 166,000 people voted for the PPP. We are the majority, and the PPP is the minority. That is why we are in this position tonight. That Donald Ramatar was forced to call elections because he's not prepared to accept the will of the majority. And if he's not prepared to accept the will of the majority, we have to apply the duck test to him. And the duck test shows that he's a dictator. And we don't want dictators in Golden Grove. We don't want dictators in East Coast. We don't want dictators in Guyana. He has to go. And all the vulgar people with him have to go. Starting with Barry Ramsaran, that vulgar little man. Followed by Priya Manikchan, calling the Hillary Clinton's report crap. Followed by Anil Nandalal, that foul-mouthed attorney at law. Followed by Bharat Jagdeo. All of them have to go. By day clean on the 12th of May, not one of those vulgar people must be there. We have to clean up Guyana, starting in the cabinet. We have to wash out the mouth with soap. Those people have brought this nation into disrepute. All of them are ministers. And on the 12th of May, all of them will be ex-ministers. My brothers and sisters, APNU was formed 4 years ago in July 2011. We were made up of 5 parties, and that is why the hand is our symbol. 5 parties, 5 fingers. We were made up of the Guyana Action Party, the Justice for All Party, the National Front Alliance, the Working People's Alliance, and the People's National Congress. And tonight we have representatives of all of them here tonight. There is somebody from the Justice for All Party, is Jai Paul Sharma, and his dad, Cian Sharma. There's Keith Scott, stand up Keith, from the National Front Alliance. There's the Working People's Alliance, the PNCR, Basil represents the PNCR. And all 5 of us have worked together over the last 4 years to bring good governance to this country. And I was glad when they said unto me on the 6th of December, Kemra Dramjatan said that the Alliance for Change was prepared to enter into a pre-election coalition. And on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, we shook hands and agreed to the Cummingsburg Accord. For the first time in the history of Guyana, 6 political parties have come together to resist the duck government, to resist the dictatorship. We won in 2011. You gave us your vote. You gave us the majority, and we'll win again in 2015. East Coast will come out to vote for us. East Coast will support APNU and AFC. My brothers and sisters, we face very grave problems in Guyana. And those problems cannot be solved by the PPP. We face problems of crime. And every day in this country, there are 3 armed robberies under the PPP. So don't listen to their propaganda. There's no peace and safety. There's sudden destruction, as Bob Marley said. When you think it's peace and safety, sudden destruction. And this has come about because the PPP are encouraging drug traffickers and murderers. It was the PPP who knew who shot Courtney Crumewing, and PPP know who shot Fazil Aziz. They have to answer. They know who shot Saturday Osar. That's why they won't investigate his death. But never in my life have I seen so much banditry. Never in my life have I seen so much piracy in Quarantine, where Moses and I grew up. I have spoken to those fishermen, victims of piracy. I've never seen Clement Rohi go and visit those victims. I've never seen him consoling the widows of piracy attacks. He's busy looking after birth certificate and bills in GCOM. He's not paying attention to your safety. And crime has risen under the PPP. We have a murder rate now that shows that under Jagdeo and Ramatar, 21,000 people have been killed. So we are not safe under the PPP. The PPP is running a corrupt government. They never can find money to fix University of Guyana, but they can find money to build a hotel. Every project that Bar Jagdeo puts his hand on is flawed. And it is filled with fraud. Look at the fiber optic cable. APNU and AFC did not stop the fiber optic cable. It stopped itself because of incompetence and corruption. APNU and AFC did not stop the specialty surgical hospital on the East Coast. Ramatar had to pull away the contract because of fraud. APNU and AFC did not stop the Myla Falls hydropower road. It stopped itself. And Donald Ramatar himself had to take away the contract from flipping Motilal. That is what the PPP is doing. It is ruining the country. And if you vote back Bar Jagdeo in office, you're going to have another Skeldon factory. You're going to have another fiber optic cable. Instead of fixing the problems facing the people, they're looking after themselves. There is enough money in this country. There's enough land in this country to satisfy the need of all of our people. But there is not enough money in this country to satisfy the greed of the PPP cabinet. It is the people's need versus the PPP's greed that has us where we are today. And look at education, my brothers and sisters. When I go up and down the East Coast, what do I see? Young men and young women who cannot find jobs. I go to some Mario's Pizza Hut, and what do I see? Young women with 8 CXC subjects slicing pizza. Young men with 10 CXC subjects, conductors and minibuses. This government is fooling you. It is not providing jobs for young people. It doesn't care for young people. If they cared for young people, they would fix the school system. And that is where the problems are. If they cared for young people, they'd fix the University of Guyana. If they cared for young people, they'd fix the Cyril Potter College of Education. But the PPP does not care. It only cares about filling their own pockets. The result is that every single month, 500 boys and girls drop out of primary and secondary school in Guyana. Every year under Priya, every year under Donald, 6,000 boys and girls drop out of school. And they're pleased about that. They should hang their heads in shame. So, my brothers and sisters, the education system is broken. And they cannot provide employment. The employment system is broken. It cannot provide opportunities for young people to get jobs. But you have the last word. And the last word is the vote. And they cannot take that away from you. And I want you to remember that that vote is sacred. That vote is precious. And I want you to go out on the 11th of May and vote the PPP out of office. But it's not so easy. Not everyone that said, Lord, Lord. Let me tell you what the PPP is up to. The PPP stole the elections in 1992. It stole the elections in 1997. It stole the elections in 2001. It stole the elections in 2006. And it stole the elections in 2011. They're always calling on me to investigate the elections. I will investigate the elections. I will investigate every polling station that the PPP got surplus votes. You all know that on the East Coast, the PPP used to change the polling stations and get surplus votes. I will investigate them. They want investigation, they're going to get investigation. They like to pretend they don't rig. They're the biggest riggers in Guyanese history. But this time, my brothers and sisters, we all have to be vigilant. Every one of you has to be a watchdog for democracy. I want you to wake up before they clean. None of this 9 and 10 o'clock getting up. I want you to wake up before they clean on the 11th of May. It is the longest day in the Guyanese calendar. Because I don't want you to go to sleep until you hear the word that David Granger is the next president. I want you to get up before they clean on the 11th of May and turn out in your numbers to vote. The sick, the lame, the lazy, who got bicycle, who got cart, who got dray cart, I want you to help to get people to the polling station to vote. Who lame, who can't walk, who is in a wheelchair, everybody must vote. I want you to scrutinize the list to make sure no dead people vote, to make sure no bogus people vote, no people who there in prayer to Ordaz and Naikeri. I want you to look in the eyes. I want you to look at the ID cards. I want you to make sure that only bona fide voters vote on that day. The PPP have stolen 5 elections. And let me tell you this. Let me tell you the trick. The PPP don't thief big, you know. It's thief small. Today the PNC had a general council and I told them how the PPP does it. You know, long ago they had something called the Post Office Savings Bank. Before we had Co-op Bank and GBTI and all that. And they had a man in a Post Office Savings Bank in a certain Caribbean country. And what he used to do, they had over 800,000 subscribers in the bank. He used to thief 1 cent from every one of them for 20 years. And he resigned, he retires a rich man. The PPP knows they have 2,500 polling stations. So they don't want to thief 2,500 votes. They want to thief 3 votes from each one. And end up with 7,500. So my brothers and sisters, in 2011, when APNU gave polling agents $5,000 to go to the polling agents to look after our interests, the PPP gave them $25,000 to stay home. That's the thieving PPP that's running this country now. They gave polling agents $25,000 to stay home. And they're giving people money for their ID cards. I want you to make sure that every mother, son, and daughter holds on to his or her ID card. Don't give it up. That is your passport. That is your visa to power. I want you to keep your eyes on those statements of poll. I don't want anybody to leave early because they're taken. They got bad feelings. They must stay until the statements of poll are signed. All of you with cell phones, I want you to take photographs of your statements of poll and send it all around the world. This time, there's no Gokul Budu to misspell and miscount. Gokul gone. I want by midnight that everybody must know how many people voted on every single polling station in their polling division. PPP can't get away with it. They thief 5 times, they can't thief 6. So my brothers and sisters, that is why we have come together. We've come together to transform Guyanese political culture. When you look at Suriname, what do you see? People moving ahead. Look at Trinidad, look at Barbados, look at St. Martin, look at Antigua. Guyanese are coming home to vote. I've met people in Toronto, I've met people in Miami, people in Houston, and they're all coming home. They want to push the PPP out of office. And you here in Golden Grove and you here in the East Coast must help them to achieve this great victory. Nobody wants the PPP to remain. Nobody wants 23 years more of this purgatory. Nobody wants more corruption, more murders. We want to live a normal life. We want to live a good life. But we can only get that good life if we are united. And that is why APNU and AFC have come together. We realized that the Constitution prevented parties from coalescing after the election results were announced. And that is why we have come together before, so that there is no mistake this time, that we want to create a government of national unity. We realized that for the past 6 decades, one of the greatest obstacles to progress was the fact that the PPP was able to divide Guyana. That Indian was taught to distrust African. That Amerindian was taught not to trust coastlanders. That one ethnic group was set against another ethnic group. That employers were set against workers. That so-called upper class people were against so-called lower class people. Well, all of that will come to an end. Because when we speak of a government of national unity, we speak of unifying the whole country. We in APNU and AFC must be able to sit down at the table and discuss issues that affect us. We in APNU and AFC are not necessarily the same. PNC is different from WPA. But yet we were able to sit down at the table for the last 4 years and go to the National Assembly and vote together as one partnership. This time, when we go into the 11th Parliament, we will not have a partnership, we will have a coalition. And let me tell you this, my brothers and sisters. For the last 4 years, APNU and AFC have been collaborating. We had a thing going. We had a thing going when we voted to make Raphael Trotman the leader of the AFC, Speaker of the National Assembly. He could not become Speaker without APNU votes. AFC is not the adversary, is not the enemy of APNU. We were working together to get a budget which could give you a good life, which could lower the VAT, lower the income tax, raise the income tax threshold, and ensure that you get a good life. We want to lower the cost of living, and we were working together. We worked together to call for local government elections on the 1st of August 2014. We did not get it. We worked together to bring a motion of no confidence against Donald Ramatara administration. And that is when he realized we were serious. That is when he realized that he could not divide APNU and AFC. That is when he realized that we were together and we were stronger together. And that is when he decided to prorogue Parliament. On the 10th of November, when APNU and AFC together went into Parliament, the PPP was absent without leave. And that is when Donald Ramatara woke up. That is when he did the drug test and realized that he would have to try to run this country without the Parliament. But he has failed. And you must tell him he's failed. You must go to his rallies and tell him he's failed. If he has any rallies, if he dares to have any rally on this East Coast. Go! Go and tell him to clear out, demit office, hand over the people who care about the masses, who care about the ordinary villagers. So tonight, Golden Grove, we have brought a message of hope. And by your numbers, you have inspired us and given us hope. Hope that we will change and transform Guyana into the country you want it to be. Transform the lives of your children. Transform your villages to decent places without garbage, without pothole roads, with good street lights, safe places. And you can only get that on the APNU and AFC. Tonight, I'm encouraged by this attendance. I'm encouraged by the enthusiasm which you've shown. I myself had the pleasure of going around the National Park on Easter Monday with this young lady, Lisa Punch. She gone? She is the only person more popular than the presidential candidate. If we put her to run for president, I think we'll win hands down. But I'd like to congratulate Lisa Punch. She walked around the National Park with me on Easter Monday, and people quickly recognized her and congratulated her and took photographs of her. But she is a symbol of young Guyana. She's a symbol of what we can be. We are a talented people. If only the PPP gave us that opportunity to display our talent. We are a nation of jaguars, led by people who are not fit to run us, people who are abusive and crude, people like Nandalal, Manik Chan, Ramcharan, and Bar Jagdew, all of these people, crude, abusive people. When you go to church tomorrow morning, Sunday, pray for them, please. Ask God to take them away. Give us righteous people. People like David and Moses.
Ooh, hey, the coalition will take us through the storm. Yeah, yeah. Stop corruption and destruction. Lead us to a place nice and warm. Who's gonna clean up all this mess? 23 years of endless stress. Moses,
Take over this government.
you can hear it east, north, south, and west. People calling for the best.
Granger, we want you as president.
Mistake For build better schools, better education, for bring back the reputation